Imagine standing on a cold, wet rock in the middle of nowhere. The waves are crashing violently all around you, and the wind is screaming in your ears. Towering above you is a massive, gray concrete building that looks more like a prison than a lighthouse. It is dark, empty, and rotting away. But for a long time, this wasn't just a lighthouse. It was a nuclear-powered machine left alone to survive in one of the roughest oceans on Earth. This is the Aniva Lighthouse, a forbidden fortress located at the very end of the world. Today, we are going to explore the dark history of this abandoned giant and find out why it is considered one of the most mysterious places in Russia. To understand why Aniva is so special, you first have to understand where it is. It sits on a tiny rock called Sivuchya, just off the southern tip of Sakhalin Island. This is where the Sea of Japan meets the Sea of Okhotsk. The water here is incredibly dangerous. The currents are swirling and violent, and the fog is so thick you often can't see your own hand in front of your face. For sailors in the early 20th century, this area was a death trap. Many ships crashed into the rocks, and many lives were lost. It became clear that a lighthouse was desperately needed, but building one on a slippery rock in the middle of stormy seas seemed impossible. In 1939, this territory actually belonged to Japan, not Russia. The Japanese engineers accepted the challenge. It was an incredibly difficult project. They had to carve the top off the rock to make a flat foundation. The lighthouse wasn't just built on the rock, it was built into the rock. When they finished, it was a masterpiece. It stood 9 stories high and housed a crew of 12 people. Inside, there were living quarters, a kitchen, a radio room, and storage for food and diesel fuel. 4 years, human keepers lived in this isolated tower, keeping the light burning through terrible storms and freezing winters. Everything changed after World War II. Russia took control of the island, and the lighthouse became Soviet property. For a few decades, Russian crews manned the station just like the Japanese did. But supplying this remote rock with food and diesel fuel was a logistical nightmare. It was too expensive and too dangerous for supply ships to dock there regularly. So, in the 1990s, the Soviet Union made a radical decision. They removed the human crew and replaced them with nuclear power. They installed special atomic batteries called radioisotope thermoelectric generators, or RTGs. This turned Aniva into a ghost tower. It became a fully automated atomic robot. The nuclear batteries provided heat and electricity to keep the light spinning 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, without a single human being inside. 4 years, the lighthouse operated on its own, flashing its warning signal into the dark, powered by radioactive isotopes. It was a perfect solution until the Soviet Union collapsed. When the country fell into chaos, the lighthouse was forgotten. The maintenance stopped, and the atomic batteries were left unguarded. This is where the story gets scary. Because the lighthouse was abandoned, looters eventually found their way to the rock. Rumors say they broke into steal valuable metals like copper and aluminum. They stripped the lighthouse bare, destroying the beautiful interiors. Worst of all, there are reports that the radioactive generators were tampered with. While the nuclear batteries were eventually removed by the government to prevent an environmental disaster, the lighthouse remains a hollow shell. Today, the wind whistles through broken windows, and thousands of birds have taken over, covering the floors in nesting material. Visiting Aniva today is extremely difficult. It requires a dangerous boat ride across choppy waters, and climbing the slippery, rotting stairs is a risk to your life. Yet, it remains a bucket list destination for extreme travelers and urban explorers. It stands as a haunting monument to human ambition. It reminds us of a time when we tried to tame nature with concrete and nuclear power. Now, nature is slowly taking it back. The Aniva Lighthouse is no longer a guide for ships. It is a tombstone in the ocean, silent, eerie, and utterly fascinating.